Why SpaceX abandoned Florida Starship? In 2012, SpaceX initially selected many sites, including one in Florida for a potential rocket factory launch facility. But they finally chose Boca Chica, Texas, an unincorporated community of about 40 houses, mostly one-story homes with soft orange brick exteriors on the southernmost tip of Texas, with no shops or restaurants or amenities of any kind around, including municipal water pipes. The only way to reach the village was via State Highway 4, a two-lane road that ran through mostly empty land. Truly an odd choice to build a launch facility at. Today we're going to talk about why SpaceX abandoned their Florida Starship site for the Boca Chica one. We've already told you about what a remote, isolated town Boca Chica is, so what made it the ideal choice for SpaceX to land humans on Mars from? Well, stick around till the end as we answer these questions and more. So let's dive in. In February 2010, SpaceX's first flight stack was set up at Space Launch Complex 40 in Cape Canaveral, and on March 9, 2010, SpaceX performed a static fire test, where the first stage was to be fired without taking off. Then on December 21, 2015, SpaceX launched and landed a Falcon 9 first stage, following the rocket's first trip to orbit. But when it came to building and launching the Starship, SpaceX chose not to use this facility. There are multiple reasons why the aerospace company chose to abandon its initial plans of constructing a launch facility in Florida and went with Boca Chica instead. SpaceX chose Boca Chica because it's near the shoreline, mostly inhabited near the equator, closer to California, has an experienced and capable workforce in Texas, and Texas state and local legislators offered tax incentives to build a rocket factory and launch site there. Let's elaborate. The total height of the Falcon 9 rocket is 229.6 feet. The height of the Falcon 9 payload fairing is 43 feet, and the height of the second stage is around 34 feet. The inner stage is 22 feet long, and the booster is approximately 130 feet long. The diameter of the Falcon 9 is 12 feet. But why are all these dimensions relevant? Let's explain. SpaceX designed the Falcon 9 from the ground up so that it's transportable by U.S. interstates. That's why the Falcon 9 diameter is 12 feet, because U.S. freeway lanes are 12 feet wide. SpaceX develops all their rocket parts at Hawthorne, California, using the rocket engines. After testing all rocket parts, SpaceX transports all the Falcon 9 parts, such as payload fairings, first stage, inner stage, and booster stage, to launch facilities separately. SpaceX has 3 launch facilities for the Falcon 9 rocket. These are Vandenberg Air Force Base Space Launch Complex, Cape Canaveral Space Launch Complex, and Kennedy Space Center Launch Complex 39A. When all the rocket parts come to a launch facility, SpaceX assembles the Falcon 9 for launch. As we can see, Falcon 9's length and diameters are mostly constrained by the U.S. interstate's lane width and underpass height. But SpaceX's ultimate goal was not to make this rocket. Their ultimate goal is to build a Mars rocket. Currently, SpaceX is working on the Starship rocket. The name could be confusing, but let's explain the full name of this rocket. Starship is the name of the whole Mars rocket. But the upper stage is also called Starship, and the first stage is called Super Heavy. We only need the Super Heavy on Earth because of the Earth's high gravitational pull. On the Moons and Mars, we don't need the first stage. The Starship rocket's total height is 394 feet, 171% bigger than the Falcon 9. Unlike Falcon 9, the Starship is 30 feet in diameter. As we've already seen, there is no way SpaceX can transport this rocket from their Hawthorne, California factory to a launch facility. SpaceX knew they had to build their Starship at the launch facility. SpaceX does not own any of the 3 launch facilities, SLC-40, SLC-4A, LC-39A. They currently have lease agreements and are paying millions of dollars monthly to the US government. They knew that if they owned a launch site, it would save them a lot of money. That's why they started to look for a location for a rocket manufacturing and launch facility. According to Elon Musk, occasional flights from land are okay, but frequent flights must be from the ocean and at least 30 kilometers away from the shore. It's primarily because of the noise. Therefore, a launch facility must be near shorelines and must have roads. The launch site also needs to be near the rocket factory. Otherwise, the transportation of rockets would be a massive cost burden. Though currently, the Falcon 9 costs $60 million per launch and around $40 million when reused, SpaceX's ultimate goal is to lower the launch cost further. According to an estimate, Elon Musk is targeting $5 million per launch cost for the Starship. Any extra transportation cost will increase the launch cost. Thus, the launch site must have to be within the contiguous US. Therefore, Florida was not the optimal location for launch. The East Coast is best for a rocket launch into most orbits. It's because if a rocket launches into the east, it could take advantage of the Earth's rotation and save energy. SpaceX uses the California launch site in Vandenberg Air Force Base to launch satellites to sun-synchronous and polar orbits. Starship's primary purpose is to launch cargo and humans to the Moon and Mars. Moreover, in the US, the FAA will never allow launching a rocket over land, unlike China or Russia. In China, they launch over land, and empty boosters crash on private property, causing damage. It's not an issue for them, but the FAA will never allow it to happen in the US. So from California, SpaceX will never be able to launch except for polar and sun-synchronous orbit. Therefore, California is also out of consideration. SpaceX wanted to have a launch site and factory at the same location. Therefore, they needed a lot of empty lands available for purchase. All of Florida's east coastline is heavily populated. Therefore, there's no way SpaceX can buy a vast swath of land for their rocket factory. Thus, they also eliminated Florida. Another critical factor is the proximity to the equator. A rocket that is closer to the equator gets more boost during launch. Georgia and Virginia lack available open land near the shoreline and further away from the equator. Moreover, the Texas state legislature offered SpaceX tax rebates, but Georgia and Virginia did not. That's why Georgia and Virginia were out. There are several other reasons, too, for selecting Texas. Unlike California, Texas does not have a state income tax. Long before 2020, Elon Musk wanted to move out of California because of very high taxes. Outside of California, Texas has very high-skilled engineers. Furthermore, Boca Chica is mostly uninhabited. Though there is an unincorporated village, only 50 residents were living there. SpaceX also assessed that Boca Chica would not be a problem. All of these factors combined played a massive role in SpaceX's decision to choose Boca Chica. But not all hope is lost for the Florida site. So are you guys enjoying the video? Do you think there's still a chance SpaceX decides to use the Florida site for launching the Starship? We have the answer, but do you? So while you think, do subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to receive instant notification about all our future videos. Elon Musk announced in late December last year that SpaceX has broken ground in Cape Canaveral, Florida, in the construction of its new Starship orbital launch pad. The site will be located at Kennedy Space Center Launch Complex 39, where the firm's Falcon 9 rockets launch into space. SpaceX had always considered Florida to be a key operation site for Starship. As the program has evolved, SpaceX chose to focus initially on Boca Chica in Texas, but that was understandable, and now the program is again turning its attention to the Cape. SpaceX will choose where they launch different missions based upon profitability, as they should. But Florida will compete and win for many of those launches to the Moon, Mars, or for money. We all know that SpaceX plans to build a space station and eventually a metropolis on Mars for future astronauts. But there is no better site in the United States to start this goal than Boca Chica. According to Elon Musk, Texas is the gateway to Mars. So do you think any future missions to Mars will be flown from Florida, or will it forever remain a dormant launch site? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to watch more of our amazing videos, then stay tuned.